ma'am.
Please begin.
Board. My name is Ben Joseph Woods. I came here to Fairfax County, originally from southwestern Virginia. I was a graduate of Southern Virginia University. Since 2003, I've been in the public service or in the military. I served in the Army on active duty, served in the Marine Corps on active duty, and I'm now a major in the Marine Corps Reserves. I'm also a federal law enforcement officer stationed here. With all of that said, I would like to caveat anything that I'm saying is not an official statement. I want to address to the board a little bit of a darker topic here that most people have been unwilling to talk about. Virginia is at a boiling point. It's not just gun laws, and it's not climate change, and it's not any one particular thing, but it is true that we are very, very polarized right now as a society. I think we can all agree on that, correct?
Yes.
The problem is that as we are polarized, we have two groups of people who fundamentally believe the same things about justice and about rights, and yet both of those groups, they tend to conveniently forget their fundamental beliefs about people's rights when it suits them. And that happens on both sides. So the legislature, as several speakers have said before, have a number of gun bills that they've pre-filed and intend to vote on. These bills have been called reasonable by their advocates, and they've been called draconian or unconstitutional or any number of things by their opponents. I'm not going to address the bills themselves. What I would like to address is the fact that at this point, so many people believe that these are unconstitutional or draconian that you have, as of last night, 30 counties in this state which have voted themselves either through resolutions or through actual county ordinances to be Second Amendment sanctuary counties. The ugly truth of our situation is that that is just scratching the surface of what is happening. I work plainclothes law enforcement. I walk around without a uniform. People don't see my badge. People don't see my gun. And I can tell you, people are angry. And I am frightened. To the point that I am looking at moving my wife and child, my child to be, March. My wife and child out of the state if these bills pass. The reason is because my fellow law enforcement officers, I've heard on more than one occasion, tell me that they would not enforce these bills regardless of whether they believe in them ideologically, because they believe that there are so many people angry in gun shops, gun shows, at bars. We have heard it now. People talking about tar and feathering politicians in a less than joking manner. People talking about violence over their concern with Senate Bill 16 and Senate Bill 64. That is a terrifying prospect, and I have never seen people willing to speak about something like that publicly. That said, as a law enforcement officer, I empathize with concerns people have over gun violence, and it has touched my family very closely, as my wife Jennifer is a graduate of Columbine High School. I will not go into her personal relationships with the people that she lost, but years and years later now, she still looks at that event with terror, and at the same time finds herself being extraordinarily pro-gun. My wife is a scientist. She is an astrophysicist. She's much smarter than I am, but not smart enough to know she shouldn't have married me. She constantly reminds me that we must, as a society, let reason rule emotions when we are making laws and when we are enforcing law. Emotion should come into play when we are granting mercy, but not when we are trying to decide who we are going to crucify.
And
your red light has been on for some time. If you could just please sum up.
Yes, ma'am. The Attorney General was asked recently whether or not Second Amendment sanctuary statutes or resolutions were legal. And his response in his statement that he just released was that the legal precedent we would set by allowing communities to selectively ignore those laws at will is alarming and indicative of the same mindset that nearly 150 years ago led this country to dissolve into a civil war. I have corrected his statement to reflect where we truly are sitting today. What his statement should have said is that the legal precedent we would set by allowing the legislature to selectively ignore enumerated rights at will is the same mindset that 150 years ago led this country into a civil war.
That's right.